Good evening, folks. Welcome back to another Wednesday night hobby hangout. Or good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending upon where you are. Red Rose Wargaming this and feels like I've walked into a D&D tavern with that music. More like a foreign Irish bar. I think that's probably more like it. How is everybody? Nice to see you all. I hope you're. I hope you all have your Irish beverages ready to go tonight to celebrating St. Patrick's Day. We can't get out to the bars and celebrate in the usual style, so we're having a drop of the black stuff at home tonight. So yes, good evening, folks, and happy St. Patrick's Day. Yes, here we go. Who we got in the chat tonight? And let's have a look. Marcus was in nice and early, saying afternoon and happy St. Patrick's Day. Hello to you, mate. Blizzard says I spy something green and it's not Heineken. You can get cream for that, mate. Maybe it'll heal up on its own. Mark Wright, good evening to you, mate. Hello, Peter Cooman. Hello to Connor as well. Blizzard says, hey, diddly ho. We got Mark Berracloth says, good evening, all. He's got his sleeves turned up for Marcus. Marvel champions, I should say. So he's sleeving the core set tonight, and then he's going to finish off his 9-month tree. I promise I haven't had more than this is still my first can, I promise. 9th moon tree sharks for Dreadball there. Christian, good evening to you, mate. Axe and Nax, nice to see you, mate, as well. Lord Maiden's in. Jeff Hickton, good afternoon to you, sir. Mark Corley's in as well, saying hey up, guys, hope all is well. And with you too, mate. Peter Nicholas is in as well. John Estelson, good evening, hooligans. The hooligan tag's kind of stuck now, as you can see from the thumbnail tonight. Hobby Hooligan Hangout. We got Small in as well. Good evening to you. Bobby Clark, hello, fella. Gooden Auburn says Red Rose Wargamer. Hello, Anna, how are you? Marcus in here loves the opening music. We could not have a bit of Irish fiddle, could we, for St. Paddy's Day? Evening to Krabby as well. Ram Design, hello to you as well. Tasty Brain Drains in as well. Hello to you, fella. VJ, good morning. Said it's time to smash down some paint. Smash down some paint. Does not seem like the kind of thing that you want to do with it. Axon Axel, I've forgotten I tuned into the stream until that jamming music come on. Happy St. Paddy's Day as well there from Tasty Brain Drain. Claudio Shiver says, hello everyone, cheers. He's just opened his Kilkenny. That's the way, mate. Started your meeting to go on. Barry Clive is in as well. Howdy to you, sir. And Tasty Brain Drain says, yes, as I said in Facebook, I've got a glass of Jameson cold brew. Cheers, everyone. I saw that, mate. It looked very nice. Yes, cheers to you too, mate. Cheers. So, folks, tonight, a bit of painting on the painting table. Obviously, as you do. Sunday Sykes says, morning all. I'm awake really early for once. I had my wisdom teeth out this week, so not sleeping much. That sounds painful, mate. Luckily, touch wood, I've never had any wisdom tooth issues. So, painting tonight, we are going to be putting some paint onto these bad boys, or probably one of them anyway. And this is the McMourning box set for Malifaux, who is this little fella here. Is the master model. This is his totem, which is the little zombie chihuahua. Let's just so you can see this zombie chihuahua there with a nice little arm in its mouth. So like I think that's an arm on the bottom there as well. And I think if I remember right, yeah, there's a leg on the ground. So just kind of hanging around next to that skull. So yes, that's the zombie chihuahua. This is Mr. Dr. Douglas McMourning himself. Let me just pull this light over top a little bit. The details on these are absolutely beautiful. I love them. Loads and loads of details. They went together. Absolutely no problem at all. But yeah, the details beautiful. So the background for this fella in Malifaux is that basically the guild who kind of control the comings and goings across the breach and looking for soul stones basically wanted to hire somebody, a doctor, to get rid of the bodies, basically. So they didn't want any of the resurrectionists sort of reanimating the bodies, so it was his job to pronounce cause of death and then basically burn the bodies and get rid of them. There was a bit of a double-edged sword. That one was to stop the resurrectionists, the other one was basically hiding the bodies. And over a period of time, obviously he became a little bit enamoured with necromancy and the magic of soul stones, and started to kind of reanimate some corpses himself and build some constructs. So that's why we have this zombie chihuahua that we were just talking about. So we have this little fella here. We also have Sebastian here, who is his kind of almost the mad doctor's sidekick, who again is a sort of stitched together kind of construct. You can just see, I think you can see, if I pull that over a little bit, you can see in his head and stuff where he's been stitched together, and he's obviously been experimented on. He's got a nice big saw blade there as well, carrying around a nice little kind of a power tank there for the saw. So that's Sebastian, his sidekick. And then we have these, which are basically called flesh constructs. And yes, that is vomit coming out of its mouth. Absolutely horrible and disgusting. You can see the stitches across the stomach. There's pipes and things kind of like pumping everything around the body and kind of keeping things working. And you can have 3 of these flesh constructs alongside Mr. McMourning. So that's one of them. This is the second one. Again, you've seen better days, this fella, by the looks of things. I'm sure I've been to bars in Sunderland with similar looking people. You can see there where the arm's all stitched on as well, and again there on the shoulder as well where the arm is stitched on. So yes, that's the second one of them. And then the third one here, again, he's kind of nice bit of slop and vomit and stuff coming out of the mouth. Pipes again, head looking a little bit experimented on, bits of arms stitched on and things. Yes. A little bit of muffin top going on there as well with the trousers. So yes, that's this is the box set for McMourning. And as I went through the stuff on Monday as well on the live stream, these are the cards that you get as well. So when you buy a box of these, let me just zoom out a little bit. When you buy a box of these, you get these cards, and they are kind of like plasticky as well, so you can mark your health off with a dry white marker as well, and wipe them off. They're nice and sort of well made, so you don't necessarily need to sleeve them, although you obviously can if you want to, but they are, you can just see the way the light's hitting them there, they're almost kind of like plastic coated. So yeah, so Zombie Chihuahua, Sebastian, and then the 3 different flesh constructs as well. So I think we're going to start, as it'd be rude not to, we're going to start with the master tonight. We're going to start with Mr. McMourning himself. So we'll move some of these out of the way and we'll get ready to go. Let's have a look what we're doing. Anna says, wait, Zombie Chihuahua, I'm sold. Yeah, the little dogs are really cute, really cool. Krabby saying, what we all doing tonight? Yeah, what's everybody up to? Peter saying, Zombie Chihuahua, that's different. It certainly is, mate, isn't it? Andy says, hello hooligans, hello to you. Peter says, how many hit points does it have? Let me have a look, mate. It has 3. So it's not gonna hang around for too long anyway. It does have some really cool different things. So it's got an ability called Horrific Odor, which causes poison if models within an aura of 2 start their activation beside it. It's got things like perverse metabolism, so if this model would suffer damage from poison, instead it heals, which is quite cool. It's got its gnashing bite there as well, it does blood poison. It's also got a tactical action called annoying, so basically after an enemy model within range declares a tactical action other than walk, it gains distracted. So essentially this little zombie chihuahua is just kind of biting around its ankles and just hanging around, getting in the way. So where else? Peter Coon says Sebastian's face looks like the Doctor from Despicable Me. He also reminds me a little bit. He's kind of like sort of Quasimodo type thing, isn't he? A little bit. So let's get Mr. Douglas McMourning onto a painting base, and we'll get zoomed in, and we'll. In fact, let me move the camera around a little bit. We'll move this one up. And we'll get that one sorted. Flying Mammal, hello Ruth, how are you doing? She says, yay, Malifaux. Nice to see you. Right, let's just let's get the light here ready so we can make sure that we're lit suitably for the camera. Zoom out a little touch. And then we'll get started. Right, I want to start with a really, really pale skin. So I think we'll go for something like pallid witch flesh or something like that. What do we go with? I think we're going to go, yeah, we're going to go with pallid witch flesh. It's a bit paler. So we're just going to try out for a free skin. He's a very pale looking fellow, this one. Sunday Tyke saying these look fun to paint. Yeah, I'm looking forward to them. Luke saying, how do everyone? Chimp205 says, speaking of zombies, looks like GW teased new zombie models. I haven't actually seen any of the teasers, mate, but I have seen people talking about it, so I assume it's coming as part of the new 40k, along with the, what they're called, like the vampires and stuff. Where's my brush for getting the paint out the tubs? Luke's saying he's painting his Red Ball team. He's going to try and do the Miami Dolphin scheme. Nice one, mate. Axanax says, alright, while you do that, I'll work priming tanks and a Stargrave crew. Very nice, mate. Stargrave looks like it's people sort of getting ready to get some crews on the table for that. I saw that Guerrilla Miniature Games had done a bit of a preview of it at the weekend, which was awesome. Nice to see that. Marcus said a leprechaun elder harlequin. Kind of sorting another lot he won on eBay. So much plastic on his desk. You need to start painting it, mate. Never mind keep winning the stuff. Luke said his mother-in-law had a dog like that which had wind and had its own horrific odour. Yes. I've had family that's had dogs like that as well, that's for sure. I've had family that's like that, to be fair. Right, let me wash that brush and then we'll get cracking. I think we need a relatively small brush for this. I mean, it's just to kind of give you some kind of reference of size. That's my little fingernail. They're relatively small, some of these. Andy said he's still supervising snakes. I did see your message on Facebook, mate. Lord Maiden said he's going to continue painting his Orc Goblin Dread team and hopefully paint the last 2 goblins tonight and then start on the 4 orcs soon. Nice one. Bruce says, can't wait for things to get better. Yes, you and me both. You and me both. So let's start getting some paint onto this then, eh? Just need to get the light in the right place so it's not too blown out for you. And we're just gonna, so I've just got some really thin down pallid witch flesh and we'll just kind of lightly layer it on. Don't want to go over it too much. I mean, I've used the Zenithal Prime on this, so that'll give us the basis for the shading and stuff anyway. But we'll just very gently layer this up. There we go. Luke saying, yeah, I'm going to be getting into Stargrave. I need to watch that Guerrilla vid on it. Yes, I think I essentially started the video by saying it's a reskinned Frostgrave, which, to be honest, I think is what people wanted. I'll tell you what, I'm just going to change something because I think it's like you're going to see all the settings on the camera now. Let me change this to manual because I think it's kind of. Let me turn that down a bit. It seemed like it was kind of like colour changing a bit there. It still needs to go down a little bit, I think. There we go, that's a little bit better. There we go. I think when it's in that HDR thing, it gets a nice crisp quality picture, but I think with the light it keeps kind of like trying to adjust itself because it's on automatic as opposed to manual settings. So, right, that's a bit of skin tone there. We'll always go back and touch that up again later on. Now, I think what we're going to do is we're going to go with a kind of like a really, almost like a wash. And I've already pre-mixed this, so what I'm going to use is this Ghost Blaster green, and I've used some Lamy and medium to almost make it a bit of a wash. And I'm going to kind of wash over the kind of like the gown, if you like, just to give it a very pale green, almost kind of hospital type colour, and we'll go with like dark green gloves on it, I think. So we might have to do a few coats of this because we're just trying to tint it really. I'm using the I'm using the Zenithal Prime really just to give it its base colour, its base coat if you like, and then we'll just use some thin layers of this and just build it up gradually just to give it some colour, or a hint of colour, and then gradually over time it'll get slightly darker as we keep going at it. Peter said he's putting together a box of British infantry for the Anglo-Zulu War. Pith helmet for the win. Very nice, mate. Nice bit of Zulu there. Son says I would buy them just to paint the dog to look like my parents. He's nuts enough to eat a leg off someone. They're beautiful minis, mate. Like I was saying on Monday when I was talking about Malifaux on the live stream, it's one of those games that even if you've got no interest at all in playing it, and you just want to paint some minis, there will always be a miniature in the range that you like the look of. There are so many unique kind of sort of factions and sculpts, and as I said before as well, the game originally started because Weird Miniatures basically just made miniatures. They just sculpted really weird, unique looking miniatures, and got such a big range of them that they decided to try and incorporate them into a game, and hence Malifaux was born, which is one of the reasons why the background lore is so fantastic, because it embraces all different sort of story arcs and different factions and different styles. When you can have kind of like humanesque sort of hillbilly sort of gremlins riding pigs, to dancing showgirls, to zombie chihuahuas, to little boys with sort of big evil teddy bears. There's such a mix of stuff in the game. So, Luke's in, yeah, I want sci-fi Frostgrave. That's tweaking it for the setting. That's tweaked for the setting. Yes. So I think essentially, if you're a fan of Frostgrave and you're a fan of sci-fi, I assume it's going to be exactly what people wanted. We were talking very briefly in the Patreon about it the other week, in the Patreon chat, about these kind of like miniature agnostic games, and I said one of the things that actually always puts me off is the fact that it's so open. Basically, like they create these sort of types, if you like character archetypes, but they're not really linked to anything. And I said basically like it's so open that I don't really have anything to kind of to hang the theme of it on, and it's not so much the miniatures of knowing where to pick up miniatures from or anything like that. I've got plenty of minis, that's not really the problem. It's more about like when it comes to list building and things, and it's like, well, I don't really enjoy list building, so I'd rather if there was some sort of sample lists to just put together a crew and give it a try, I'd probably give the game a try. But the last thing I want to have to do is to try and kind of like list build. And what I was saying was when there's sort of model ranges for a game, you almost list build by default. Like for example, if I wanted to play Malifaux, I pick up a crew box, and then I've got a box. I've got like a list built for me really to give the game a try. If I want to play a Warcry, I just pick up a box of Warcry, and I can play. Like even if you want to play a 40k, to be fair, you can kind of pick up a start collecting box, or you pick up one of the starter boxes, and list building isn't necessarily an issue. It's something that you broach as and when you've kind of got your head around the game. Where I find with miniature agnostic games, you basically you've got a list build from the start really. So, and it's a personal choice thing for me. I'm not a huge fan of list building, so that's where it falls down a little bit for me. Bobby Clark says he's been planning some painting tutorials and also doing some test models for his Adeptus Sororitas army. I assume they're going to be very useful with the new 40k box that's coming out very soon. Ed Handley, hello to you, mate. He's painting part 2 of his Necrons for Kill Team. Mephrit Warriors to back up their immortals. He's got the Novak ones to go in the team with the flayed ones finished earlier. Nice one. Luke's saying the red grass wet palette is so nice. I have championed the DIY palette and they're great, but the red grass one is nicely made in every way. The only thing I would say about the red grass ones, mate, is they tend to be a bit on the large side. That's why I use the army painter one. It's just kind of like a nicer size. It's not, and I think it's about half the price as well. So, but yeah, I used homemade wet palettes for years. There's just something quite nice about having, and they're not expensive. I think this one was about 13 or 14 quid or something like that. They're not a fortune, and it's just nice to have the thing that does the job basically. Right, we'll let that dry off a little bit. Just, you might not be able to see that so much, but you can just kind of see. I mean, it's very wet at the minute because it's more like a wash over the top of that pail, but we'll start to blend that in a little bit. Because I think at the minute what I'm doing is I'm end up just kind of like pulling the pigment around a bit. So we'll leave that one to go. And then I think we'll go with kind of some very green gloves. So I think we'll go with Warpstone Glow for that. Chris says, Andy, did you see Ash's playthrough of A Billion Suns? No list building there. I didn't, mate. Actually, no. I've not really looked at that game. Peter says, all Osprey rule sets I have do sample army lists in the back. Don't have to list build if you don't want to. The ones I've seen haven't made, but that doesn't mean that this one doesn't. I mean, what I was saying was that basically if this had sample lists, I'd potentially give it a try. But there's so many other options out there where I don't even have to worry about sort of list building. That it's just one more barrier, if you like. Sundered Sykes saying, I've got army painted wet palette and I can't complain. Does the job just right. Yeah, I'm happy with mine as well, mate, to be fair. It was a Christmas present from my wife for Christmas, funny enough. So yeah, it absolutely does the job. Let me just mix this up. So how's everybody doing? How's your Wednesday going? How's your week going, in fact, not just your Wednesday? Have you been up to much? Folks got plans? You looking forward to getting some games in soon? Everybody got armies painted ready to go? Sunday Sykes says, if someone gave me a red grass one, I wouldn't say no. Yeah, I'm sure they're just as good as well, mate. Do you know, I don't think there's any issues with the red grass ones. I just think it's they're just significantly bigger, which for me is not necessarily a bonus type thing. I have a kind of like a limited amount of space on my desk here, so that I can kind of get the camera equipment in and everything else. Let me just paint these bits in. Clary's saying, I can send you some Dead Zone sample lists. Just thought the game should be mentioned here, and there for old tradition's sake. To be honest, mate, even Dead Zone, if you buy the box set, it comes with a couple of lists. Do you know what I mean? And if you buy the starter boxes for the other factions and things, like you basically just end up making a list out of the things that are in the box. Where I find with like kind of miniature agnostic games, it's almost, and this is a personal thing. It's not a problem with the game or anything like that. It's a personal taste thing for me. The openness and the flexibility from the off is a negative for me. It's not really what I want, and that's one of the reasons why it's never really interested me, because it's I like to be able to kind of just like browse a miniature range and just think, oh, they've got a starter box. That's a nice way to get dove in and give it a try. But that's, like I say, that's just my taste. Right. Again, we're just going in with a nice thin down version of this, and then we will build it up as we go. You can just kind of start to see that pale green coming through on the clothes there as well. Lowbane said I have 2 Warhound legs built and I'll do the rest tomorrow. Nice one, mate. Small to this bad week. My work van got towed away. €180 and a fine from the police. Oh dear, mate. Not what you need. Not what you need at all. And Peter saying, yeah, I understand. If it's not your thing, it's not your thing. Just thought I'd mention it. No, absolutely, mate. It's, like I say, it's not a negative about the game at all. I'm not saying like I've tried these games and they're not very good or anything like that. It's purely just a personal taste thing. List building is not something I've ever enjoyed. So. I enjoy the playing the game. I enjoy the painting the minis, but like things like this where I pick up a box, paint the minis, and put them on the table is much more kind of enjoyable for me on a personal level than it is to kind of sitting down and trying to list build and try to decide what I should take. Even just having miniature ranges where I can just say, or like they look cool kind of thing, they all go together. Even that's like the next step from it, if you like. And like I said before, it's that kind of, it's that openness and that flexibility that actually for me is more like a kind of like analysis paralysis type thing. Luke says they do 2 sizes. Mine looks the same as yours, about A5 paper. I think it's a little bit smaller again, mate. I think this Army Painter one's a little bit smaller. I could be wrong, like maybe it is about A5. Peter says Dreadfleet has no list building though. You're right, mate. It also has nobody willing to play it. Ed says, I find with mini agnostic games they tend to look pretty messy on the tabletop. Different companies all tend to have their own style and they don't usually mix well. I mean, there is that purely from an aesthetic point of view as well. I mean, unless you and your mate decide, you know, we're going to use 40k minis or we're going to use Infinity minis or whatever it is. I mean, there's a lot of people do that, like use them, but then I tend to find, like, if that's the case, I might as well just, like, there's a game out there. I think somebody used the example, like, I want to play a Star Wars game with Star Wars minis. Well, there's a Star Wars game with rules, so why should I buy Star Wars minis and then try and fit them into something else kind of thing? I think somebody used that as a bit of an example. But yeah, it's just honestly, it's my personal taste thing. I find those kind of games are harder to get to the table. I find less people willing to want to play them because the people that I know and play with sort of they like what I like kind of thing. They like to paint miniature ranges. They like to just get stuff to the table and have just a bit of fun. And not necessarily kind of like sort of worry about lots of different lots of fancy lists or lots of different rule sets and stuff. So right, there's a bit of colour going on at him. I'm going to get his nice bright orange hair in. That'll give it a bit of colour as well and brighten it up a touch. And I think for that, we're going to use Gryph-hound Orange Contrast Paint. I think that'll go rather nice. Where are we up to there? Connor said it was a solid week, then a pothole related puncture set me back 65 quid. Looking at starting a real 40k army for when lockdown ends. Nice one, mate. Well, not on the pothole thing, on the army. Peter says he's wargaming packages bringing joy. Kath Smith, good evening, Kath. Says back in the office again after a month of working from home, suffering the shock of capture. Yeah, for painting minis to de-stress. Nice one. Yeah, I think there's going to be a few people starting to kind of soon sort of see things getting a little bit more kind of normal compared to where they've been. Back into the office and out for lunch and that kind of stuff. It's going to be a very different place soon. I might actually be able to start visiting some of the companies that I planned to do a year ago. Getting myself down to Nottingham and filming with Mantic and things like that, and visiting some of the newer ones that I've been speaking to as well. Scott Latham, hello to you, fella. Marcus is saying, honestly, since I really did not like the Tyranid paint schemes, it took me forever to find mine. We talk about, I must have missed something there somewhere. Peter says, in honesty, if you take away list building, games do become more balanced most of the time. Stops the shenanigans. Yeah, I think I've just had too many. I must have just had one too many bad experiences with folks who just who basically just kind of take it to the nth degree, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's what they enjoy, like trying to find the most optimal lists, and when you're playing against people who have to constantly sort of buying and selling armies all the time because they have to have the latest stuff, and they found a little loophole in it before the FAQ comes, so they've got a brand new army this week because they've got some list that they want to try out. Like many moons ago, folks I used to play at a club with were very much in that kind of a vein, and I think it's probably just kind of burned me out over the years. I really do play for the enjoyment of like just the social aspect, the having fun over a game. The winning and losing is less relevant to me, which is why I say that almost the list building is just something. Like if I've got time to sit and list build, I'd rather either play the game or I'd rather be painting. It's one of the reasons I quite enjoy board games, is because you don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. Just you get the bits out and play the game. Like I had a game of Super Fantasy Brawl at the weekend, and it's just so refreshing to just go, right, just pick 3 champions you like the look of. Don't worry about kind of about the synergies and everything else. Just pick 3 champions you like the look of. There you go. There's your 3 models. There's my 3 models. Right, let's have a game. Let's just see what happens. I really enjoyed that. It's actually the first game of Super Fantasy Brawl I've had since the Kickstarter arrived, and I must admit it has got me tempted to back the part 2 stuff. Small says that's why I only buy starter sets for Vanguard. You can make them a team. It just out of the box. Yeah, exactly, mate. Exactly. Luke said he was going to get the bigger one. Certainly way too big. Yeah, that was certainly my impression, mate. When I've seen the bigger one, I I either didn't realise there was a smaller one, or I thought the smaller one was bigger again as well. But yeah, there's just something about having the proper gear rather than like a margarine tub or something. Lord Maiden says the Army Painter one is very slightly smaller than the Redgrass one. I have the Redgrass one, but tried the Army Painter sponge and paper, and it's slightly smaller in the palette. Oh, there you go. Sunday says it's interesting what draws people into a game. I know Uncle Adam isn't a fan of list building, at least not competitively, but he's a big fan of miniature agnostic games. I assume he probably just like it might be all to do with the people that he plays with. If they enjoy that kind of game, that's probably what feeds him. And maybe if he's a very narrative player, I think what you find with miniature agnostic games is they generally don't attract the kind of competitive crowd because there isn't a competitive scene for them. So I think that's probably one of the reasons why he's a big fan of those type of stuff. It's probably just what him and his gaming groups play. Right. I think we'll try a little bit of. We'll go with a bit of Gothor. We'll go with a bit of Gothor brown for the kind of like the leather strap across his chest. Peter saying nobody willing to play Dreadfleet. Blasphemy. Nobody willing to play it around here, mate, that's for sure. Lawman says the magnetic ink well does it for me, as I can have my metallic paint in there and not on the wet palette. Having the metallic paint on the wet palette doesn't bother me, mate. I just mix it all in together. Doesn't worry. Like, not mix it all in together, but stick it all on the same palette together. I'm not that fussy, to be honest. get a bit of this paint out. There we go. I know people tend to be a little bit more kind of sort of a bit more finicky about metallic paints and stuff, but yeah, my painting's not that good that I worry about that kind of stuff. So it's like I think a lot of players of mini agnostic games see them as kit bashing opportunities, but I think all games have kit bashing opportunities, don't they? I mean, it's not. There's very few games where you're actually kind of like where you're held to a candle to kind of have exactly like the right thing or something like that. I think people it's generally people who have like vast amounts of miniatures that they've had from board games or that they've had from games that they don't play anymore, and it's a great way to use stuff that you already have. But for me, the hobby side of it, like the painting minis and stuff, is just a bigger part of it is the playing and things. So for me, actually, I actually quite like getting into a new game and getting excited for it and buying a starter box and sort of listening to the podcasts and reading about the background lore and stuff. That's all part of the hobby for me. And I think when you get into miniature agnostic stuff, like a big chunk of that's not there. Generally, anyway. Because most people are setting these games in their own universes, or they're setting like a Star Wars game or something like that. They're setting a Star Wars theme up, something like that. Just wash that bit up. I'm using Star Wars just as an example because I know a lot of people did that with what's it called? Rangers of Shadow Deep. I think people were like reskinning it for sci-fi and stuff as well. Right. I think we'll try and paint some more of those straps and things. Marcus is saying he's making his corned beef and cabbage for dinner. What's everyone else planned for dinner? I had kind of like, forget what it was now. It was like tomato and like peppers and like a nice kind of, I don't even know what you'd call it, like a goulash type thing. It was lovely. Ed says he enjoys list building. One of the reasons I like Kill Team is the roster system means I can build lists in my lists. Yeah, I think if you're a list builder, mate, there's some games that really do kind of benefit from it. Like vast majority of the Warhammer games, like 40k, Kill Team, Age of Sigmar, those games really benefit from wanting to list build. And it's like one of the reasons I kind of stopped playing Age of Sigmar was because I had a list for my Beastclaw Raiders, and then, as always happens with the big sort of Warhammer games, the big Games Workshop games, is sort of everything changes. And what it meant was I effectively couldn't just play with what I had anymore. It meant I had to buy more stuff. It meant I had to sort of come up with a new list. I had to run models that I didn't really like the look of to make the models that I had effective. And when I say effective, like, I'm not even just talking about winning games. I mean actually to the point where you could even really sort of like even take part. Like there was a point where basically you had to have, I forget exactly what the rules were because it's so long since I played, but you had to have like more models sort of at the objective to basically score the objective. And I had a mega kind of like elite Beastclaw Raiders army with big beasts and stuff. You couldn't contest it. It like sort of without, and because the army was so limited in what you could take, you had to take like detachments of goblins and things like that, which I didn't want to do. I didn't want to have to paint like 40 goblins just to be able to use the army I had. Luke's saying, yeah, I make themed lists and stuff. I think it's cool. If it works on the table, I hit jackpot. As it doesn't usually. Yeah, mine's more just about it being cool, mate, to be honest. But like I say, it's more I like the idea of of learning the game almost with a predefined list, and then if I like the game, then I'll start to kind of look at like other models that I like the look of, and picking those up and things like that, and maybe adapting lists. It's one of the reasons I love starter boxes, like 2-player starter boxes. I love picking those up. I love like kind of like things like Malifaux, things like Wild West Exodus, things like Vanguard, anything that has that kind of pick up a box and start playing thing with. One of the reasons I love Warcry, don't have to worry about it. I just play with whatever's in the box. That's just my style of gaming. If I get into a game, I will happily kind of sort of like start going to the fine intricacies of list building and stuff. But generally, I'm definitely just a kind of like, I'm just as happy with a 2-player starter set and treating it like a board game sometimes. Just trying to see what everything is on this little kind of pocket apron type thing. Starting to come together. Lord Mace, if anyone asks, I did the Redgrass Army Painter experiment because the Army Painter stuff is slightly cheaper than the Redgrass ones. Yeah, 2 sponges and 50 sheet. Yeah, I did. Somebody else told me that as well, but after I bought it, I hadn't even thought about the cost of the extra papers and stuff. You get quite a lot of papers with the Army Painter one. Phil Campbell, good evening to you, mate. Marcus is saying his local game store, there's a guy who always looks for the newest, cheesiest 40k list, but the instant the FAQ is list, he buys in whole new army. Yeah, there's somebody who goes to my local gaming club, does exactly the same thing. Hardly ever gets stuff painted, always kind of chopping and changing, always trying to sell stuff, always on the lookout for the latest filth, like seeing all the rumours on Twitter and stuff and on Reddit, and trying to kind of get ahead of them and trying to buy up people's sort of models like before they become, you know, like with all the rumours like, oh, like this is going to be the next good like thing. So there's been a leak about the new codex, and I hear it more with 40k and like Age of Sigmar type stuff, but I think that's just more due to the speed of change of those particular games. I don't think it's limited to those games, but I think just purely the speed of change almost promotes that kind of that ability to switch and change. Right. Have we got any more? I'm just looking. I think that's all of the kind of like leather strap and stuff. A little bit here. A little bit around the back. Fiji says, Yum, just knocked up some bacon and egg muffins while a couple of contrast colours are drying. That's what I call multitasking, mate. Very nice. Tony Howell, good evening, mate. Nice to see you. Hope you're well, mate. A golden eagle keeps nicking his minis. Very nice. I think that's another strap there as well, isn't it? Going on. I've got the box on my desk to the side there. I'm looking at the cover of the box just to get an idea of what everything is on the model. So finely detailed. And there's a strap coming around here as well. That's it. Just run a little bit down here. It's really weird painting on camera when it's so detailed as this, because what I really want to do is kind of like hold it up close sometimes, but I'm just trying to make sure I keep it on camera. So apologies if I do drift off from time to time. Alright, that's those kind of things. Right, we need to get some metallics on, I think. Get some metallics onto the pipework and things. I really like how that contrast oranges come out on the hair as well. That looks to come out nice. Skin needs a little bit of touching up there as well. So we'll get that. It's really thinned out. Peter said, oh, where was it? Phil said, steak, pie, mash and gravy. Nice, mate. Cannot work that. Peter said, sometimes you just really like the minis but hate the rules. Just pick an agnostic game you like and get the best of both worlds. The problem is, mate, when you say pick one that you like, you then have to find one that you like. And a lot of the time, to be honest, it's less about the rules for me sometimes, and it's more about the people I'm playing with. Like, if the rules are not fantastic but they're playable, sometimes that's enough for me. Like, it's like, as long as I'm having fun with the people I'm playing with. I've played some great games with some horrible people, and I've played some horrible games with some great people. Peter said he had mackerel for his tea, followed by pancakes and Guinness for supper. Yeah, kind of beat the black stuff, mate. Tony saying, VJ saying the missus was happy to get a cooked breakfast. That's points on the board. There you go, mate. You must be fishing for something. Right, that was it. We're going to go metallic, won't we? I think we should stick with silvers and stuff. I think we'll go with the Granite Steel, which is a very blue silver, and we'll do that on the main tank on the back. Tony saying, I opted for not playing games. I don't like list build, not adversarial play. I just buy whatever mini I like and roll with it. Yeah, if you're a painter, mate, it doesn't matter what the rules are. That's for sure. Sunday says, I must admit that's why I like Blood Bowl. One box is almost all you need. If you love it, you can expand out with a couple of models from Forge World, but list building is actually rather minimal. Yeah, I'm sure like sort of hardened Blood Bowl players might disagree and say that there's a lot more skill involved, but like things like Dread Bowl, for example, which obviously we've been talking about recently, just buy a team. Like, you've got all the models that you'll ever need, really. Like, there's nothing to worry about. Marcus is saying, just order the parts for his Halloween diorama. Halloween, you're planning early, mate. Scott says, notice you spin the handle instead of the disc your model is on, Andy. I'm trying to get out of the habit of my red grass handle at the moment. Spin the handle. I don't think I do spin the handle, mate. I tend to... I might be turning my hand and stuff, but it's probably just more like I am still kind of spinning it, unless maybe I'm not and I don't even notice it, but I thought I was. Right, let's get in here. Get in and paint this tank. Ed says you can go nuts with Warcry list building if you want to. Yeah, exactly, mate. You can do if you want to. That's the key bit. It's just that some games, it's not about if you want to, it's you have to. You have to list build. There is no kind of starting point. That's kind of what I'm getting at. But yeah, I mean Warcry, you can list build. You can, especially with the factions that are like sort of the EOS faction types. But the vast majority of stuff that I play is more a case of just the newer, the Warcry specific warbands. I like the style of those, like the visual aesthetic style. So you just buy a box of them and just play what's in them. I'm not trying to win events. I'm not like, even the people I'm playing against, I'm not like actively trying to sort of like win every game I play. I just enjoy the opportunity to play, to be fair. I'll take anything at the minute. Christian sharing a link for the Patreon there. Thank you very much, mate. We've almost been doing this full time. I'm saying I've almost been doing this full time for a year now, and it's been encouraging, really. I mean, is it exactly where I want it to be? And I need some more income, basically. I need to earn a bit more money somehow. Whether that's with more Patreons, whether that's about looking at other sort of revenue streams or whatever it is. it still needs to kind of earn its keep. Otherwise, the amount of time I spend doing this, you know, it doesn't pay me minimum wage. It doesn't pay me what a part-time job would, to be fair. But I love doing it, so I'm willing to kind of to take a bit of a hit for it. But I do still have bills to pay. So yeah, if anybody look at the Patreon, and $2 gets you access to the Discord chat as well, and it goes a long way. It helps me out. Low maintenance. I'm a bit of a mix with list building. I like it, but I go for weird or interesting to me themes. So my AOS slaves and daughters are all villains you don't know about. Yeah, there's an element of that, mate. I mean, I don't mind list building when I know a game well, and then I actually know what it is I'm kind of sort of trying to achieve with them. But when I get in, like, if I get into a new game, I'm just trying to get my head around the rules, to be honest. Like, I'm not really worried about, like, I don't even know enough to know what I should be sort of choosing. That's why I quite enjoy the sort of like the sort of 2-player starter sets or crew boxes or something like that. Right. I think we'll paint that blade as well. We're getting there. It's painting up quite quick, this one tonight, actually. Eddie May says, I was sorely tempted to start my Seamus crew tonight, but I have to persevere and finish some of the projects already on my desk. I get too distracted too easily. Nothing wrong with distraction, mate. Paint what you enjoy. Paint and play what you enjoy, that's it. Phil Campbell says, anyone planning on backing the Barons War 3 Kickstarter? I've never even heard of Barons War 1 or 2, mate, if I'm honest. Lord Min says, I made a 2nd edition Malifaux 3 factions list just to see if I can do it. 2nd edition Malifaux 3 factions. Yeah, I see what you mean. If you've already got stuff, mate, and you're just trying to see if you can use them in the new rules, yeah, I completely get that. Ed saying, size of community also makes meta chasers look more prevalent. Yeah, definitely, mate. I think it does make it look more prevalent, but I think it's also because there's a lot more kind of competitive scene. I think when things are being released or being tweaked on a very frequent basis, there's more tweaking to do, like when it comes to list building, where if things are, like, if take Kings of War for example, it doesn't change that often, so you will get people who are trying to min-max their lists and stuff. Sunded Psych, thank you very much for the donation, mate. He says, I already put in on Patreon, so here's another bit on top. You are a gentleman. Thank you very much, mate. That's massively appreciated. What was that one? Yeah, so I think it is more prevalent, but so I was saying Kings of War, yeah, because it doesn't change very often. You'll get people who will come up with lists and they might take it to a tournament and it might do well or it might not do that well, and then they might tweak their list. But people don't generally kind of wholesale sort of change their armies. I see it quite a lot in 40k. Less so in AOS, but it does happen. But I think it's a combination of speed of releases, speed of rule changes, and size of the game and the community as well. Where was these comments? Fiji says, Blood Bowl build and paint is great. Pity about the game, so I'll play a blitz. Yeah, I mean, there is that element as well, mate. But I think we generally as well still we play what, you know, people fall into one or two camps generally. They're either the kind of like the person that pulls the rest of the gaming group together and kind of says, oh, how about we all try this, or they are the person that. Luke, thank you very much for the donation, mate. Massively appreciated. Very, very kind of you, fella. So yeah, you're either the kind of person that leads the group and pushes people into like come on, I've got this great new game I want everyone to give a try to, or you're the follower basically. You go along with what everybody else wants to play, and I think sometimes that can dictate more than we like to admit. It's why communities are so important to games companies. Like, it doesn't matter how good your game is, it doesn't matter how good your minis are, your game will live and die by the community that surrounds it. Because if you don't have a community that talks about your game and plays your game, you don't really have a game. There's a lot of good games that have died over the years purely because they've not been supported by the company from a community aspect. Like, they keep churning out miniatures, but they don't really kind of engage with their community, and that's where games really kind of like stand out on their own at that point. Because I was going to do a video a little while ago. I've kind of got it as a note on my board over there, that basically it's like the best games are not the ones with the best minis and the best rule sets. The best games are the ones that get marketed the best, because that's what gets people's attention. That's what kind of gets people hyped and stuff. And it might be that they've got beautiful minis or whatever, or they might have a good rule set, but if nobody ever gets to find out about it because the company hasn't marketed it, then that's the game just dies. Fiji says, I started watching Miniac's Guild Ball Bat Rep last night. I didn't know Miniac did game and stuff, mate. He says, that's crunchy. Yeah, I didn't unless they've changed the rules dramatically, mate. Like, because I know they're talking about doing like a community thing. I didn't think it was that bad, the original Guild Ball. I think it can be. It's one of those games that was hyper competitive and kind of encouraged you to kind of min max a little bit, because there was no points costs for models. So you basically did just take certain sort of, some builds were a lot more optimum. It was one of the things that killed the game basically. Yeah, Tony's saying from what he says, it sounds like a better game. It certainly is. I mean, you know how I feel about Blood Bowl, folks. It's not that it's a bad game, it's just not my kind of game. I've never really enjoyed it. I've tried to play it many times, and more because like my local club was doing like a league and stuff like that, and I wanted to get games in with the guys there. But yeah, I very quickly kind of fell by the wayside because I wasn't enjoying it. I've played multiple games of Blitzball now, and yeah, I really do enjoy the game. Luke says, play Fortnite on Twitch, they make thousands. Yeah, but there's also thousands of them as well, mate. That's the thing. I could never just make content because it was popular just to get like views and stuff. Like I've said this loads of times. Like if I want to, like I've got a channel that is big enough now that if I do something on a popular topic, it gets quite a lot of views. So for example, if I do a Monday night stream about 40k or kind of like EOS or something like that, or a Games Workshop product, it always gets more views than any other sort of thing. So I know for a fact if it was purely just about sort of money and clicks and ad revenue, there are topics that I should sort of talk about. Like I could spend my time learning about 40k and get into that and be another one of the 40k channels, but it's not a game I play regular. Like I haven't played it at all, like sort of like for years. So I don't want to just like bow to that kind of stuff. I want to make the stuff that I enjoy, and that's like, for me, I think there's a bit of a niche out there. Most channels give up before they get to like where I am at the minute. They give up before they get to there, when they're not doing the big kind of 40k games and stuff like that. And that just gives me a little bit of a point of difference, really. So I intend, it's slow growth because of that, because I don't cover the big stuff all the time. But it's what I enjoy, and it's what I look forward to, and I have more fun with. So his hair. Oh, it's like a little light or something on the side of that strap, isn't it? Where were we up to? Peter says, I actually forgot that the mini I'm collecting can be used for games. True fact. I was just talking to Stan Richardson the other day. We were on about getting together for some games when things allow again. And it's like I haven't played games in so long. I feel like I'm going to have to like relearn them all again. Phil saying Blood Bowl's all about skill combos and risk management. Yeah. Not my kind of idea of fun. Barry says, I think it's amazing you've made a go of making this your full-time gig during unquestionably the worst year for nearly any small business. Yeah, I mean, I guess people could say, well, it's all online, so like it's not a bigger risk. But it's at a time when people are a bit worried about money, like, you know, people have been furloughed and jobs and stuff, so it's not the ideal time to try and grow like kind of Patreon and stuff. People's jobs are a little bit shaky, so there's that side of things. I mean, even at the minute, I'm seeing it on other channels as well. Like the guys that cover all the Games Workshop stuff, since Games Workshop have slowed down their releases to let them catch up with stuff. Like I see they're struggling like with content, and I think we've just been at a bit of a time where there hasn't really been that much coming out. I think some companies are obviously releasing bits and pieces and stuff, or they're continuing to support games, but they're holding back on some of their big stuff. Like Games Workshop kind of get away with it, but most companies are kind of holding back a lot of the time, because they know people can't get together to play games. Like we were talking about Super Fantasy Brawl there before. Like Mythic was supposed to be bringing all those like round 2 miniatures to retail, and they've basically just said not going to happen. We're going to go to Kickstarter again because the retail space is just not what we need at the minute. So yeah, it's been a funny year. I mean, I would have liked to have had the first year I would have liked to have had a bit of a clearer run of it, get to the events that I plan to get to and get to see the companies that I plan to, but I've been doing stuff in the background. I've been emailing companies, I've had phone calls with them and stuff to talk about future things, and there are companies like War Cradle reached out to me and like about the kind of dystopian war stuff and things, and I've had a reasonably good relationship with them since. Mantic have been great as always as well. Weird kind of sent me a few bits and pieces at the back end of last year, so it's been nice. It's been nice to kind of like sort of see some growth. Like hitting the 10,000 subs was always a bit of a target for me. I've almost stopped looking at subscribers now, to be honest, because it's kind of it was I always just wanted to get to 10, and when I got there it was just like, yeah, everything's a bonus now. Like for me now, the subscriber thing is more just every jump in subscribers is potential more folks to kind of like join the Patreon or to buy t-shirts or to kind of like support the channel through shopping, and be that on Amazon or be that through Goblin Gaming and things. And that's the stuff that just keeps this ticking over, if you like. That's the stuff that makes this sustainable. That's the word I was looking for. But thank you, Barry. Thank you very much, mate. Peter says, I guess that's where the list building comes in, where you need to play the games. Lobman says, I'm the same, just starting the game. It's the easiest way to get into a game and see if you like it. VG says, hoping to bump my Patreon up as soon as nightclubs open over there. I tell you what, mate, I really do feel sorry for you. I mean, even here in the UK, we've almost got a timeline now, like a plan where nightclubs actually might be opening again by like June and stuff. That's when our plan for nightclubs to be opening again. It feels like for a country like Australia, which seems to have a pretty good handle on stuff, as an outsider looking in from what we see kind of like in the very limited news about Australia and stuff, it seems strange that like those kind of things are still not happening. Like you can have massive sort of like sporting events and stuff, but you can't open a nightclub yet. Luke's saying, have a Canada Black on me. I might even have to pour. I might have to go and get another one in a minute. Like unheard of having more than one. Tony saying to Barry there, totally agree. It's been a bonkers year. I'm chuffed to bits for Andy. I absolutely love this, man. I mean, and I'm not like kind of like playing war is me. It's just it needs to support itself, kind of thing. But I don't need to make lots out of it. just need to make enough to kind of like clear the bottom line that I need to make each month. Because what this does afford me is it affords me to get up and do a job that I absolutely love, that I'm passionate about. I count my blessings every day that I'm even in a position that I can give this a go and give it a try and survive for a year. But it also allows me to kind of like work around my little boy's nursery and kind of childcare and all that kind of stuff that I couldn't do like with a 9-to-5 job generally. So yeah, it's a like a double-edged sword thing of like it needs to earn enough, but it doesn't need to earn like sort of like it doesn't need to earn a full-time wage, if you like. It just needs to kind of like to get me over that minimum threshold. Luke's saying hopefully I get to buy you one at the UK Games Expo in person. Yeah, fingers crossed, mate. I must admit I was really surprised to hear the news about UK Games Expo yesterday. That essentially like the Hilton Hotel has decided now to close until September for refurbishment. Like, what have they been doing for the last year? Like, the place has been pretty much closed for a year, and now they decide to close as things are opening up. I thought that was madness. I'm sure there must be a reason for it, but it just doesn't make any sense why they choose to do that one. Marcus says, yeah, my Tyranid's considered weird since I don't use Tyrannofexes, Tervigons, herpes, hobbies, or crones in my list. Players think my list is going to be weak, but what I put on the table is what I like. I think sometimes, mate, those kind of lists can catch people out because they start getting a bit weary. They are a bit wary about things. They say, well, there must be reason behind this. It must have some kind of trick that he's going to do using these models. And people, it knocks them off their game. So actually, sometimes it's not a bad thing. Like proper left field lists sometimes win on that basis. VJ is saying it's been a bit busy anyway. Nice one, mate. Dave Mackay says Mini's looking good. It's come together, mate. I need to, this is an example, folks, of where I've said before about you need to do the whole thing because the whiteness of the base is really throwing that off at the minute. So I think what I'll do is I'm going to put some grey cobblestones on that and paint the rim black, and you'll see a difference straight away because there's too much white on it and it just throws the eye out. So let's get a bit of, let's start with Skaven Blight Dinge, and we'll paint that over the these are the little base inserts that I 3D printed, by the way. So these are the weird bases that come with the game, so you can see on the bottom with the weird miniatures logo on there, and I printed the cobblestone bases with my 3D printer, so I was quite kind of pleased with that. Phil says, Andy, there's a few guys who've posted pics of their Barons War minis in the BlackJack Facebook group. Skirmish games set around the first Barons War, 1215, King John, Magna Carta and all that. Historical stuff, mate. That's probably why I've not heard of it. Historical games are not really something that's on my radar that much. But yeah, I'll check them out, mate. Andrew Fairbanks, hello to you, fella. Flying Mammal says, night all, stay safe. Take care, Ruth. Nice to see you. I hope you're keeping well and hope to see you again soon. Fiji says, if I wanted to be a statistical risk minimization, I would have become a statistician. There is an element of that, mate. I think I think I've talked about this before as well. Like a lot of my old kind of day job and stuff, like working in project management and sort of like product development, was about risk management and was about kind of analyzing data and stuff. And actually, like, I think that's another reason why I didn't like list building, because essentially I was spending all day analysing data and trying to like find the right solution. So maybe that'll change now. I've not played games for a year really, like since I stopped doing that job. So maybe that'll change now. But yeah, that was certainly probably one of the reasons why I didn't like list building. So walk on the table a bit there. Right, let's scroll down the chat a little bit, get some more of these. Fiji says, yes, his first bat rep, and yeah, the rules don't seem complex. More, you just have a lot of options as what you can do. I find it weird that's like, if that's his first bat rep, that he's doing a bat rep for a game that's no longer supported now. I think he used to play it. I think it was one of the games he used to play. So maybe he's kind of getting involved with the there's like a fan community base, isn't it? That's trying to like take over the game and keep it going, which is great. It's great to see. But I do find, from a point of view of doing bat reps. I find it a bit of a strange choice, but hey, each to their own. He obviously knows what he's doing. He's a lot more successful than I am, that's for sure. I think you'll probably get a bit of a shock though, because I mean, people who do bat reps, unless it's 40k, tend not to get a lot of views in general. And he's used to getting lots and lots of views for his painting stuff. That's what people kind of follow him for, really. So it'll be interesting to see kind of views wise what he does, and whether he continues to do it. But yeah, it's good that he's trying different stuff. I quite like the guy. I don't really know him that like I don't know him at all, for example, but I've watched bits and pieces of his stuff. He's got a really good like sort of video style, and his personality seems to come across in his videos, which is sort of 90% of the trouble sometimes, just being able to sort of like come across personable. But yeah, I like the guy. But yeah, it is a strange choice. I thought he might have gone something a bit more mainstream for his first bat rep. But I guess you play what you play, don't you? Christian sharing the link there to the OG t-shirts and hoodies. Thank you very much, mate. That's these kind of stuff. I need to do a bit of a refresh. I think get some new t-shirts, some new designs in there. Sunday Sykes says, you just do your thing. We love you for it. Keep up the great content. Thank you very much, mate. Thank you very much. Ouch! What was the ouch for, mate? I don't know what that was. Thank you, Tasty Brain Drain, as well. VG says, I want some more Dr. Tabletop drop tops. 24 for $42 US isn't bad, but $30 US in shipping. Yeah, that's the killer, mate, at the minute, isn't it? Shipping it everywhere. We're seeing it as well. Like, obviously, there's so many like things with Kickstarters and stuff now as well, where like they say they've got like sort of EU friendly shipping and stuff, but there's still taxes and things to go on them as well. That just does not bump the price up a lot. Excuse me. Tony says, your diversity allows and enables so many people from different backgrounds and levels of experience. I love it, and I can't thank you enough. That's very, very kind of you, mate. Very kind. But yeah, I mean, to be honest, I mean, if I started playing 40k, for example, if because me and Krabby were always going to get together and sort of play some small scale games. If we get together and I start playing a few games of 40k and I absolutely love it, of course I'll talk about 40k on the channel and stuff. But my point being is that I wouldn't pretend I was enjoying something just because it was popular, if you like. I talk about 40k now and again now, but more from an industry point of view, or like, is something interesting happening? Like are the prices kind of completely out of line with what's gone in the past, or the Indomitors box was like such a good sort of thing with like such a nice set with the launch of like 9th edition and stuff. Like it's big news. It's hard not to talk about because it's huge within our like little sort of side of the internet world, if you like. But yeah, I couldn't see me just like, a lot of people make content, not necessarily tabletop stuff, but on the internet they make content about stuff that they've got absolutely no interest in, but just because it's popular and it makes money, kind of thing. I could never really see myself doing that. Like it would send me insane, and I'd get very bored very quickly. I joked on the Discord chat today about I was just going to start doing kids toy unboxings and stuff. Like it's like that's where, you know, I've seen from what my little boy watching and stuff, like kids just watch like endless amounts. They just watch like video after video after video. They're not picking and choosing so much. They literally click on something and then just sort of let it play, let YouTube choose what they watch next time, really. Ed says, talking 40k is a crowded marketplace. It is, mate, but you know what it is? It's more about understanding YouTube enough that when you do a good thumbnail and you do a good title and you like, it's a little bit kind of not clickbait, because that's the wrong word, but if it's a title that basically grabs attention, you do all your tags right and all that kind of stuff, and you've got a big enough following that YouTube pushes it out to people, popular stuff will always do well. Like I know for a fact that like I'm really looking forward to Curse City whenever I make a video about Curse City, the views go up. Like, it doesn't matter if it doesn't matter if the information is almost old news by that point. It does well. So yes, will I talk about Curse City? Absolutely, because I'm looking forward to it. But I am also aware of the effect it has because it's a Games Workshop game. So yeah, 40k is a crowded marketplace, but there's so many people watch content for it. So, and I still think I still think that there's areas in 40k content that people are not covering, or that people could do better, or people are getting decent amount of views, but could, like with a small tweak, could get even more. Just based upon what I've learned from what I do, really. So, Tony Booth Leiden, hello mate. He says, Guild Ball is the game I've played more games of than any other. I enjoyed my time with it, but ultimate competitive nature soured it in the end. Yeah, that's, first of all, mate, hello, welcome to the chat tonight. I know what you mean, mate, and I think it's a real shame, because I must admit, I've played a few games of Guild Ball, just using the kick-off set and stuff like that, and played like with some friends, and it is a great game. It's fun. It's just that once you start getting to that, once players get hooked on it, they want to be good at it, and it's the kind of game that promotes you being good at it. Plus the minis were nice as well. Like, the game was super tight, the rules were tight. It had a lot going for it. There was no real problem with the game. But I know what VJ was saying about you have a lot of options. I think the difference, mate, is once you get good at it, those options are almost a case of like you're thinking moves ahead, a bit like Blood Bowl, to be fair. And I think it actually it then limits those options, because you know what the most optimal play is, or you know what you were trying to do, kind of thing. I think Malifaux is not that dissimilar in that respect. Like, you look on the cards and there's a lot of different options on the cards, but actually, like, once you've been playing it for a while, like, you know those things that you're trying to get off on a regular basis. You know what the kind of the optimal thing to do is, and what you're trying to sort of make happen, if you like. So there, just putting a little bit more colour into the base just tones down the rest of it a bit. So yeah, you just scroll up the chat a little bit there. Where are we up to there? Oh, there's more chat than I thought there was. There it is. Gareth Lewis, hello mate. He says, apologies for being late. Never apologise for being late, mate. I appreciate people coming at all, no matter what time it is. So no need to apologise for time and stuff, mate. Nice to see you. Andrew Fairbanks says, I'm loving the GW slowdown. My hobby of collecting every force for AOS isn't as expensive. Yeah, I tell you what, mate. I'm noticing it from a content point of view, that I can see that, like, some channels basically have they almost sort of make a video daily. Like, they just sit in front of a camera and just basically talk about what they've seen online when it comes to 40k stuff, because there's so much news and rumours coming out for that game that it basically writes its own content. I mean, I won't say it's lazy content, because it's not. It takes a lot of time and consideration and stuff. But 40k content almost writes itself by the fact that there is so much to talk about. Like, if you're into other games, it's a lot harder, because like I have a lot of sort of admiration for folks that like dedicate their channels to, like, Glass Half Dead as an example. I kind of admire what he does around Kill Team, because he's managed to kind of concentrate his entire channel on just Kill Team, when basically there's been next to no information, like, on new stuff for that game in such a long time. He obviously loves the game, he loves the competitive side of it. He's constantly trying to do like sort of faction breakdowns and look at different bits and pieces, and he's done a great job, because it's not a game that's had a lot of love, like, news wise. So he's done a great job with his channel. But the amount of stuff that he puts out, if he'd been putting that amount of stuff out and that amount of detail on 40k, his channel will be 3 or 4 times the size now. Just purely by the size of the audience. And because there's a constant stream of news. Vijay says he should do a mini swap with someone in the US and get them shipped. That's probably not a bad idea, mate. Vijay said every other state, clubs and festivals are happening now, just not in New South Wales. I didn't know that, mate. I didn't know that's how Australia were doing it, that it was still kind of regionalised. Can you not travel? I guess I kind of forget how big Australia is, really, when you start talking about stuff like that. Marcus is saying, yeah, I dropped $280 at his local game store just to help out the store. But since the numbers are way down and about 1/10 of the city's already been vaccinated, people are allowed to hang out. Yeah, fingers crossed we get back to normal, and if plans go as planned, we should be gaming again soon. Vijay says, thankfully I'm getting a few interstate bookings. That's what I was kind of getting at, mate. Yeah, so a little bit of money coming in, but won't be enough until I can find work local. Fingers crossed for you, mate. Hopefully it feels like it's heading in the right direction, so I hope it picks up soon. Andrew said, I'm annoyed we've fully reopened in Texas. All the restaurants are packed again. I thought I saw on the news that Texas has pretty much just said, right, back to business as usual kind of thing. I guess like here in the UK, as I'm sure wherever you folks are as well, you don't really see the full picture. Like, I'm not sure what's happening in France at the minute. I'm not sure what's happening in Spain at the minute. I know we've seen Italy start to do some more lockdowns and things recently. I don't really know what's happening in Germany now. Like back like a year ago, if you like, you were hearing about all the different locations. Where now it feels like the news is very sort of UK centric now, and we don't really know what's happening in the rest of the world so much. Peter says, yeah, when you build outside the meta, you can surprise a list. You definitely can, mate. That's for sure. Lord Maiden says, last 6 to 8 months could have been a lot worse without you, Andy, and I'm glad and happy to be a very small part of what you do. I'd love to see this just improve over the next 40 years. Thank you very much, mate. That's really, really kind. I have loads of plans going forward when things kind of can get back to, let's just say when things get to normal, when they get back to how they were. I've got loads of plans. I'm working on something in the background when it comes to the actual gameplay and recording sort of gameplay and stuff to allow me to get people to come over and to have a dedicated area for filming like battle reports and stuff that then doesn't, like I can film a battle report over a couple of days and it doesn't affect like what I'm doing on like live streams and things. So there's some things happening in the background and stuff that you don't necessarily see or hear about, and I'm reinvesting the money I've made over the last 12 months. I'm reinvesting that back into the channel and into a kind of like equipment and into like setup and things like that. So I mean, I hope I can continue to do this for, you know, like for a number of years as well. I absolutely love doing it. Like even when I'm having those months where the views are not quite as good or the Patreon takes a drop and maybe like a few people drop out or something like that, so my income goes down and stuff. Like even with those things in mind, like I still really enjoy it. I still love getting up and coming in here and being able to say that this is my job. So yeah, I ain't knocking it for sure, but like after a year of doing it, I do have to kind of like look at it and say, oh, is it growing? Like does it still have the potential that I thought it did when I wanted to do it a year ago and stuff? I have to just reassess it like any business really. Phil says Guinness is minging. It's like a pint of cold burnt toast. I love Guinness, mate. I'm a big fan of Guinness. I haven't had any in ages, but I quite often used to have like a night out and just have a night on the Guinness. Andrew Fairbanks says Baron's War reminds me of early World of Warcraft. I never played World of Warcraft either, mate, to be fair. Tony says we have such superstars as Pete Barfield who turn out some beautiful work from different angle. He does some fabulous work and I consider it an honour to see his work. Pete was one of my first ever subscribers on this channel, actually, such a long time ago. I think he was like from maybe like 2 or 3 weeks into the YouTube channel. He was one of my first ever subscribers. So, and Tony Boove Leiden was my first ever Patreon as well. I've got a little note in Patreon that says first ever Patreon. Tony was my first ever and has continued to do that since day one as well. I mean, there was a number of other people I think like joined the same day as well, but Tony was the first. Marcus says my list wins more often because 60 Gene Stealers with a Broodlord and a Flying Hive Tyrant and 20 Gargoyles of Murder, 3 Knights in 2 turns scares people. Luke says, yeah, that Hilton news baffled me. It needs a refurb, but you need a good reason to do it there. I just don't understand it, mate. Like it's not like they haven't had 12 months to like think about it. And like now, as we're starting to get to a point where it really does feel like, I mean, it feels like it's within touching distance now that we're actually going to start to get back to kind of like back on track for kind of like normal living again. To have that announcement that we're going to close until September, like right the way, like this is a hotel that's next to like an airport at a time when people are going to start going on holiday again, and to shut until September seems madness. I'm really happy that I pre-booked my hotel when I did. I didn't book the Hilton. I booked the what's it called, the Genton hotel. So what it means now is all those people that can't stay there will be looking for another hotel to stay in. So I'm really it was such a good idea to book the hotel room when I did a few weeks ago. And I could have got it cheaper, but it was one of those where you had to pay now and no refunds. And I thought I ain't doing that one, so I'll pay the little bit extra for the hotel room on the proviso I can cancel it beforehand. And I'm so glad I took that chance now. Where are we at? Dave Mackay says, time to get some kip. Catch you all later. Thank you very much for coming in, mate. Lucy and I refunded a Kickstarter tonight for $39 board game in a smaller box that wanted $22 in shipping. Yeah, do you know what it is? But that's kind of where I'm at with this round 2 for Super Fantasy Brawl, is that actually like playing the game at the weekend really kind of reignited my love for it, and I remembered why I backed it in the first place and how much fun it was. And I thought, it's not a lot to spend. And then I thought, by the time I pay shipping, by the time I pay taxes and stuff, like I know for a fact I'll probably get it at 20% off when it hits retail at some point in the future. And if it doesn't hit retail, then the game will kind of die on its horse anyway, because if it's not going to retail, people are not just going to keep backing Kickstarter after Kickstarter for it. So, or if they do come with a third Kickstarter, I'll be able to pick up the stuff that I didn't pick up in the second one. So yeah, I'm just going to wait for it. Lord Main says, do it. We want to know what the best toys to proxy for miniatures are. Tony's, I want to see an unboxing of Mousetrap. Andrew Fairbanks says, yeah, kind of notice when YouTubers have reporter voice. I think it comes like mine's come with time. I've been doing this for what is it, like 4 years now? I think it'll be 5 years this in November. I'll have had the YouTube channel for 5 years, and it probably took me a good 3 years to get to a point where I was comfortable just kind of being myself on camera. Like what you see basically is how I am. I'm not putting on like a persona or anything like that. I'm not. And like this is how I talk. Like it's not like I'm putting on some kind of sort of like YouTube Andy type thing. I might be more talkative like this, but only because if I talk to you normally, like how I would talk in real life, there'd be lots of silences. So yeah, so I'm probably more talkative when I'm on camera and stuff. But this is just how I am, and I think people don't feel comfortable when they first start with a YouTube channel, so they do that very kind of like static stare at the camera kind of like reporter voice thing. It takes time. That's all. It takes time. You either need to be really confident and really kind of comfortable in your skin, if you like, or it just takes a long time to just kind of get to a point where you say, like, you know, I'm relaxed. I'm like, it is what it is now, kind of thing. Christian sharing the link to the other merch as well. Thank you very much for the hats, the caps, the boot bags, the beanies, and all sorts of stuff. Really nice hoodies as well. So yeah, check them out, folks. Lord Mains, I want to see an unboxing of Potter Pirate and Dougie do. Me and my little boy play Potter Pirate. He shits himself every time the pirate jumps out. Sunday Six says, oh yeah, I can't wait for a release date on Curse City. Going to jump right on that. Fingers crossed we hear something on Monday, but I think it's going to be, we might hear about it like last week of March for an April release. I think that might be when we end up finding out. Mark says, Dreadball painting challenge email sent. Nice one, mate. Nice one. Well done. Tony says, yeah, the solo element is the seller of Curse City for me. Yes. I love the minis as well, to be fair. Low Maid saying, yeah, same limited edition of the additional fiction book was teased today, but no release date. They sometime, well, a while ago, there was an accidental release of like the information on the fiction book, which said March / April. So it wouldn't surprise. My assumption was it would go up for pre-order the end of March and deliver in April. So I think we're probably only, what is it now, the 17th? we've still got time. We've still got time for it to go up for pre-order in March. It wouldn't surprise me if it's because we've got the 40k reveals, haven't we, on Saturday? There's potential that they could kind of tease Cursed City that it's going up for pre-order the following week. Where are we up to? Phil says, speaking of G-dubs, the new Redemptionist mini for Necromunda looks great. I've not seen it, mate. I've not seen it. Tony says, if the rules are overcomplicated, though, it'll just be relegated to a painting project like Blackstone Fortress. I think if you thought Blackstone Fortress was complicated, mate, I think this is going to be along the same lines. I can't see it being hugely different from Blackstone Fortress. Somberlin, nice to see you in as well. She's glad to be here. Some incredible, exhausting days with working kids. Yeah, I bet you're not the only one, mate. Yoakum's saying, evening folks, sorry I'm late. Lots of work and other stuff to do at the moment. Hardly no time for my miniatures. Here to get some good energy from the great BlackJack arenas. Nice to see you, mate. How are you doing? I hope you're well. Busy's in as well. How do? Nice to see you. How do? Nice to see you, Scooby-Doo. Marcus says, when the governor said we were fully open, more than half the Texans had a Mr. Spock eyebrow raised moment saying that's a terrible idea. Yeah, and the other half rushed out to the local restaurant. Where are we up to? Where was it? Oh, that's jumping around a bit there. Casimir says, you're doing great. You make. Oh, meant to say you make the hobby accessible. New phone is too keen. Thank you very much, Kath. That's very kind of you to say so. Yeah, I want people to join in. I want people to not think, oh, this is too complicated. This is really, really hard. I don't want anybody thinking that. Barry's saying there, Florida's been opened up too as well. Cool kids in school too. Do you know what it is, mate? I thought I'd heard Florida had opened up. To be honest, me and my wife were talking last night. We sat outside. We've the garden that we've been tidying up and stuff like that. We've got a new fire pit. We decided to give it a bit of a test run out last night because the weather was quite nice. Thanks to Lord Maiden's weather spell that he cast yesterday, it improved greatly through the day. So we had the fire pit on last night. Sat outside, like fire pit on, wrapped in blanket. I had my woolly hat on. I had a nice glass of whiskey and a cigar sitting outside, and we were chatting about holidays coming up, like at the end of the year and stuff, and later. And he said, like, if things get a bit back to normal and stuff, like, where would you like to go on holiday? And I said, I would love to go back to Florida. But I said, I've got no idea. Like, I've no idea. I think I'd heard Florida had kind of opened up again and stuff. I said, but I don't know. Like, I don't know what that really means, like, in the grand scheme of things. So yeah, I would love to get back to the States this year. And I've still got my money set aside as well. My money saved up for to go to Adepticon next year. So I'm fingers crossed that we do start to get back to the world of normality soon. Right, I'm just putting a bit of Agrax wash just to get some kind of like delineation on this as well. So you can kind of see where I'm going to wash over all the brown stuff, but I'm just using a tiny little brush and I'm just kind of washing over it and more like almost like panel lining it, really, just to make the weapons stand out and things. Might have to go back and give them another coat of silver. Yes, folks, I forgot we were here to paint. I just started rabbiting away and just chatting on there. But I'll tell you what I find strange as well. We're just talking about like live streams and stuff. Like a lot of companies have like Corvus Belly primarily is what I'm talking about here. They've got a YouTube channel that's relatively successful. Like they do all of their kind of like reveals and bits and pieces and stuff like that. But they decided to do like their annual kind of like announcement thing, which they would normally do it like at Adepticon or something. They decided to do that on Twitch this week, and they had loads of technical issues and bits and pieces. I think they had a bit of a power outage, and but it baffled me why companies use Twitch when they already like do the vast majority of their stuff on YouTube. And maybe I'm missing something with Twitch, but like if your audience is already on YouTube, I don't see the reason to send it like not for like a press conference almost type of thing. Like I get why GW do it because they run all of their stuff through Twitch, so they can make people sort of like pay for subscriptions and stuff as well. They make a bit more money out of it. But I'm not sure why like Corvus Belly would do their announcements on Twitch, because there's no real benefit to it from that respect. Anyway, so we're just picking these out now, just giving it a bit more definition around there. We'll do the same with the weapons and things, with these skull saw, just to get that to stand out a little bit on the hand, and then we'll also highlight some of that up as well. Bit of dry brushing of silver and things. I just need to get in the corner here. Is that on camera? So, a little bit into there as well. Alright! I think we'll do a little bit in the hair as well, just to pick out the definition in the hair. I think the face we're going to have to kind of darken it down a little bit. I mean, he is really pale skinned. Like if I show you the cover art, you can kind of see how he's a bit. Let me just zoom out a bit. But you can see there how he's very. Let me just move the microphone a second. He's very kind of pale skinned. He's almost white, kind of a bit evil looking there. That's. So he is kind of very light skinned, but I think I've probably gone a little bit too light on this one. I think we'll have to darken it down a little bit. He almost looks dead. There we go. Where are we up to here? Christian sharing the link to Ever Goblin Gaming. Thank you very much, mate. Tony saying, yeah, I don't want to feel as if I've done a degree just to play a board game. Yeah, there is an element of that, mate, isn't there? I'm much more about the kind of the simpler kind of stuff. It's one of the I've said this loads of times. It's one of the reasons I like the Mantic stuff. Is that I just find that it just tends to be a bit more straightforward, a bit more accessible, a bit more quick, like easy to get into, and then I can kind of concentrate just on actually playing as opposed to constantly trying to remember rules. Like even Kings of War, I was kind of like sort of put off Kings of War purely because of my experience of seeing people play Warhammer Fantasy, and I assumed it would be just the same. You know, I saw the big thick rule book and I assumed it was going to be a nightmare. It's actually just not. It's even more simple to play from a rules perspective than Vanguard is, if I'm being completely honest. So yeah, I do like the way Mantic write their rules. They're definitely more sort of designed to just to get playing. Lawbane says 40k Necromunda AOS and Underworlds reveals for Saturday. I'm finding Warhammer community weird. It seems to be giving information about things really early in their releases. I think the problem they've got, mate, is they've literally got nothing to talk about at the minute. So I think they're having to pull information forward, I guess. I think what we'll do is we'll very likely just pick out some of the face with this and just to darken it down a little bit and pick out a few bits. But yeah, I mean they have slowed it down recently for obviously because of reasons with delays and stuff like that. But it does really highlight just how much. Like it was just like a runaway train, their marketing thing for a while, and it does feel at the minute like it gives you a glimpse of how other companies must feel, like where they don't have like a weekly release schedule, it certainly becomes much more kind of sort of not feast and famine, but you know what I mean, like where they have something to talk about and then it's a while until the next thing. John says, just got my Brockers washed. Thanks Andy and Phil. Fortune advice, walking down wash with floor improved. Really worked. Nice one, mate. I'm glad it worked for you. St. Louis Keith says, doesn't Twitch have less lag? I don't think so, mate. There's only 6 seconds delay on. So when I say something, it's only 6 seconds later that you hear it. You basically set it up in the settings. So and I'm broadcasting it sort of 1080p, 50 frames per second or 60 frames per second. So it's not like there's a massive delay in it. And to be honest, if you're giving a presentation like the way sort of Corvus Belly did it, even if there was a delay, it doesn't make any difference anyway. Tony says, sadly, I'll be giving UK Games Expo a miss if it goes ahead at the end of June. Just seems too soon for such a big gathering and poses a level of risk I can't take. Isn't it later than that, mate? I thought it's not the end of June, is it? It's in my diary. I thought it was end of July, mate. Yeah, it's end of July, mate. 30th and 31st and 1st of August. So it's end of July. So I assumed that, like, I mean, by that point, things have, in theory, we should have completely kind of sort of come out of lockdown by that point, like a month earlier. So that was why I decided to book a hotel, one that I could cancel again. So yeah, I think it's I think we should be all right by then, mate. Tony saying, use some spot glazes to add some sore points and bruising. Glazes cover a multitude of sins. Yeah, I've kind of just put a bit of wash on just to darken it down a little bit, just to kind of pick out the. I mean, that looks a mess up close there, but obviously that's way bigger in reality. I mean, there's a pot of paint in comparison to the size of the miniature. Look, it's those details are a lot smaller. But I'll let that dry down and then we'll start to like that'll get into recesses and then I can highlight back up on the highlights and stuff. But I'm going to run this wash over the base as well, just to darken down those cobbles. So we'll run them in as well, just darken them down. I quite like these little 3D printed cobbles and base inserts and stuff. I'm kind of I'm potentially thinking about adding, like, maybe setting up like a little kind of sort of a little sideline business, if you like, of just to try and like sort of make ends meet a little bit, top up my income, sort of selling this kind of stuff like base inserts or 3D printed bases. If I can either get like a commercial license from like a person that makes them, or if I can learn how to design them myself, doing things like sort of like BlackJack legacy objective markers or things like that. So I'm kind of considering, like even if it's an extra sort of like 20 quid a month, like you'd be surprised how far 20 quid a month goes, like towards making a bit of a difference about is it worth doing or not doing. So, and it's the kind of stuff where if it's on the printer, I literally just press print and then leave it, and it's done like 20 minutes later or something like that. Because I think these little base inserts only took 20 minutes to print. So that kind of stuff, I can just leave them in the background, and when they're done, then I put them into wash, or I put them to one side, because I can put a lot more into wash than I can put on the print bed type thing. Lord Mid says, fair enough, I can see what you mean. It's the Underworld minis get teased, and like the Bone Reaper guy, and we won't see it for like 3 or 4 months. No, I know what you mean, mate. I think that's kind of I mean, I know they always used to do that, but they used to they used to tease it like with a bit less information, just to kind of keep people interested. So if there's been nothing come out for Underworlds for ages, for example, they would tease it to kind of keep people interested in it. And where now it feels like they almost do full reveals, but like way ahead. And I don't know if that's because there's delays coming in after they've decided to share. That might be one of the reasons. Peter says, most Twitch streams with a massive delay are from video gamers to reduce getting stream sniped. Yeah, potentially, mate. Yeah. Tone. Where are we at here? Marcus is saying, in the home stretch for my Harlequins, just need to wash and dry. Can do the shading. Nice one, mate. Paul saying, by June, July, everything will be fine, same as it was last year. It's very much a winter illness. I think I'm purely going by if the government have got a plan which says if everything goes to plan by June, restrictions will be released. Then by the end of July, we will either know that didn't happen, or we will know that everything's kind of fine and stuff. So yeah, that's why I'm kind of fingers crossed that it gets to go ahead and stuff. A bit of chat backwards and forwards there. Lord Maiden saying, I know what you mean. People supposed is. Peter says, when you're playing a game live on stream, your viewers look at your stream to see where you are and come and kill you. Yes, that's what the delay and stuff on that one is. But that's an intentional delay. Like, you can do that on YouTube as well. Like, I have the option to set like how much of a delay I want. So if I think how it's worded, if I have a look on here in my stream settings, I have the choice of stream latency, so I can do normal latency, low latency, or ultra low latency. And I set mine to ultra low latency. It just basically says does not support closed captions, 1440p and 4K resolutions. I only stream at 1080 anyway, so it means that there is literally a 6-second delay between what I say and when you hear it. It just means that when my microphone's off, I get to find out a lot faster. That's the way to do it. Christian sharing the link for Amazon there as well. Thank you very much, matey. Much appreciated. I just noticed there as well, William Jones has just pledged as well. Thank you, William. He was a member of the Patreon before, but he's had some issues with bank cards and stuff like that, and sort of I think he had to cancel his card, so then he had to close the account and stuff. So yeah, he's just rejoined at the $20 or £20 level. Thank you very much, William. So this is starting to come together now. I wasn't sure before. It looked a bit kind of like a bit insipid and stuff, but I think what if we do is we need a little bit of kind of sort of shading, I think, onto the gloves to darken them down. And I think what I'll probably do off stream, I don't want to do it here, but I'll get some like blood on a toothbrush and like splatter it across the front of the gown and stuff. But I'm pretty happy with how that's starting to come together. These are always meant to be kind of like I try to sort of keep the detail in them and stuff, but I'm not like trying to sort of win any awards with them. I'm not trying to sort of like go overboard. So let me just put a little bit more of this greeny colour into here. Right, we've got these couple of like little bottles and stuff to paint. I think I'll do one of those in a blue colour to get that one done. I love that Talasaur blue, so I think we'll do that. Do I want to do it blue? I wonder. I don't want to do it red because I want to put some blood splatter on. I just don't know if blue's going to kind of clash with it. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll go with contrast warp lightning, and we'll use that one. Where are we up to here? Yeah, Tasty Brain Drain saying blood splatter would be a nice touch. Yeah, you know when you put it like just on a toothbrush and like flick it across the top, it could go absolutely belly up. Like, but I certainly don't want to do it here and like splatter it all over the front of my camera and stuff. So I don't really want these bottles to clash too much. So I think we'll keep the colours. And actually, if I do this right, it should kind of run towards the bottom, so it looks like it's kind of got liquid in it. That's it. It's coming together quite nicely now, and I'll leave those two in the middle until that dries. In fact, I'll tell you what, I'm going to use the Orc contrast. Do I want to use the? No, I'm not. I'm going to use that warp lightning again. I'm going to put the warp lightning over the top of the green boots and potentially the green gloves as well, because I think that'll help me just get a little bit of definition in it. So it's all about sort of trial and error and just trying stuff out. So these are meant to be like, I'm kind of figuring these as like, you know, the kind of like sort of the clothes they would wear like in a mortuary type thing, like a mortician would wear. That's kind of where my head's at with his theme a bit. Yeah, I'm quite. That's given a bit more definition to the shadow and stuff. So I think we'll do the same stuff on his gloves as well. Gives them that kind of wet look, or almost rubbery look to them. Yeah, I mean, there's been 3 different sculpts of this model over the times. The first edition of Malifaux, the McMourning model, seemed very much more kind of like crazy Joker-esque. And in the second version, he kind of like, I think he had like a head on a plate or something like that. It was a nice sculpt as well. But I think this is my favourite sculpt of the 3 of them. Let's kind of give it a little bit more life there, isn't it? Lord Maiden says, can we do the time warp again? It's just a jump to the left. Peter said, I thought for a minute they'd actually located the streamer and kill. Oh, they're talking about the stream snipe and stuff, aren't you? Busey says, 2 ways of blood spot I like to try using the air through the airbrush, spraying over the brush, and similar is blowing through a straw. Sorting to look good. I'll probably have to do a couple of little kind of experiments and stuff. I don't want to end up screwing it up, that's for sure. So we'll have to do a couple of experiments. But yeah, we'll find out. We'll find out the best way to do it. But yeah, I have seen where they use the airbrush off the end of a toothbrush. But I've seen where you basically draw your finger across a toothbrush as well, and it kind of spits. But I want to try to keep it like into the lower area here, really. That's where I want to do it, but everything else needs to be dry. I'll probably have to try and sort of mask off the base a little bit and stuff. I don't mind getting it on the boots. I was saying that there's nothing wrong with it being on the floor, like if it's gonna sort of like spray around. Tony says, yeah, with you there. I'm not going competition standards. I used to make my life a misery doing competition level. I dialed it right back and enjoy the hobby a lot more now. I've really enjoyed like these hobby streams on Wednesdays, because I really it pushes me to get painting stuff, and like I'm definitely painting more than I used to, and I think because I'm less worried about, like, I'm not that worried about the quality of it, if I'm perfectly honest. I've said this before, like getting it finished, it has its own kind of sense of quality and sense of accomplishment. So let's just put a little bit of just darken down a few bits with this, because I used like Lamy and medium originally and really thinned it down, so I just want to just kind of darken down a few areas a little bit. We're getting there, I like how it's coming out. Mark's is saying, I do blood splatter effects and there's no one technique for all mini sizes. No, I think that's it, mate. It's like, what you don't want is to look like it's kind of like it's been hit with a paint gun kind of thing. You want a fine mist, don't you? But we'll see how that one comes. I do like that. I do like the Tamiya clear red stuff for blood. It's just got a really kind of like syrupy, like thick colour to it. So I'll have to do a bit of research tomorrow, I think, and see how I do that. But this is not too bad. We're doing for time. We're doing all right. I think what I'll do is I'll just get a little bit of Reichland flesh here, I think, and put that into the face just to give it a bit of a pinky tone, and then we can always highlight back up from there as well with the pallid witch flesh. So just to give it a slight touch of colour. Take a little bit off the edge there. I'm certainly not painting eyes on this model, that's for sure. Kat says, just bought a hoodie for going out shuffling, running ish in. Thank you very nice one. I assume you mean one of the BlackJack hoodies. If not, well done for buying a hoodie anyway, and well done for doing a bit of exercise. It's more than I've been doing lately. But yeah, thank you very much. Let's get that little bit of. I must admit, like talking about the hoodies and stuff like that. Steve Evans, one of the Patreons and stuff, owns the company that does the t-shirts and hoodies. Or I think he owns the company. He certainly works for the company. I always thought he owned it. And the quality of them is absolutely fantastic. I've got one of the hoodies, the pullover hoodies. I've got a zip hoodie. I've got a polo t-shirt. I've got a cap and a beanie hat that I bought from that store. And I'll be honest, I've been absolutely made up with the quality. The only downside of them is the fact that actually, obviously, the shipping overseas and stuff is a bit more expensive. It's the reason I keep the Teespring store open, really, is because Teespring have like factories in Europe that make clothes, that make the orders. They also have factories in the States and stuff as well, and that keeps the postage down for overseas people, really. But if you're in the UK, I would 100% check out the hoodies and t-shirts from, I think is it Blueprint Design, I think they're called. They're really, really good quality. Right. I think what we'll do, just cause we're killing it, we'll get a little bit of this orange and just very lightly highlight the tops of the hair. It says, sadly my shuffling days are long gone, but good on you, Kat. Lord says, who are you to look down at what I enjoy? Yes, I just love to paint. No, not to please your arse. I do this for my joy. Show for what I paint. Yes, I want to show it however I please. I paint for me. Yes, exactly, mate. I paint for me as well. So, try not to overdo it here. Just pick up a few of these sort of spiky hairs on the top, just to give it a little bit of definition. A little bit around the side there. And there we go. Right, I think I need to just get a little bit of that silver, just to let's have a bit of the Necron compound, I think, just to highlight the little mirror thing on his head. Peter says, yeah, I haven't got a hoodie ordered. Should have done it before breakfast. before Brexit. The hoodie, you can still get hoodies, mate, on the other store, on the Teespring store. They sell hoodies as well. But I don't think they do the zip up hoodies on the Teespring store. Just on the one that Steve has set up for me. So that's starting to come together now, isn't it? I love it when a plan comes together, as they say. Right, let's just use a small dry brush. Let's see if I can find the smallest one I've got. I do have a small dry brush somewhere. Oh, I had one. Let's use this one. we're just going to very lightly drag it over the weapon, basically, just to get a bit of highlight. I do like this Necron compound dry paint, because it's really light. So maybe see here if I just drag it very lightly over the top of that. It really does give a bit of a sparkle to it. Really does help. Yoakum says, do they only have hoodies? No sweaters. I'm just not fond of hoodies. Probably going for a t-shirt soon though, and the beanie looks good. I'll tell you what, mate, I haven't asked actually, but I will ask if they do sweaters as well. I know they do like school clothes and stuff. That's what the company does mainly. They do like school uniforms and school clothing and workwear. So I'm pretty sure they probably have sweaters. Let me double check for you, mate. Because I assume it's just a case of like if somebody wants one, just putting it on the website to order. So yeah, I can certainly have a look at that. Well, overall, for the time I've taken on that, I'm not that upset with how that's turned out. And like I say, we'll get that bit blood splatter on there tomorrow. That'll come out decent. So, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do another coat of Agrax across that cobblestone base, just to darken down the in between the cobbles again. Just to get a bit more definition in it. And then I think we'll probably call that a night for that. And we'll have a bit of a natter while I finish my Guinness. Right, so I'm just wetting the brush now and just thinning those bits where I've just gone over just to get it spread a little bit. And there we go. I actually don't mind the kind of, you know how you get like a little bit of a tide mark sometimes with washes. I actually don't mind it on these cobbles. It almost kind of adds to it a little bit. So I'll probably go in and highlight them a little bit. There we go. Tony says, thank you so much everyone who's here and those who aren't. Give me delight when I see work. It doesn't matter about the quality, the passion and the pride make me. Yeah, that's kind of how I am. It's why when I do the kind of the competitions and stuff, the challenges, it's always about like sort of just completing something. It's because nobody should feel that like I didn't win because I wasn't good enough. Nobody should ever feel like that. Like, I mean, if you want to enter competitions for painting standards, then by all means enter them, but there should be places where people are just rewarded for getting stuff done, actually taking the time and effort to actually do it. Andy says, so Spitfires and the Jerrys are painted, the models are shite, but the game could be good. The game's alright, actually, mate, I quite like it. John says, yes, they do sweaters if you're a size 6 or 7 years. Yeah, something tells me that Yoga might need more like a 9 to 10 year old. Peter says, that reminds me I need to visit the dentist soon. Yeah, that mini that is. It does have a kind of like a dentist look about it, doesn't it? It does a bit. Oh, I'll tell you what I do need to do. I haven't. Let's get a little bit of Carrick stone. I just need to paint this like kind of like binding on the wraps on the saw. So let me just very quickly just on there, just to give it a little bit of definition. There we go. Tiny bit on the top. And that, my friends, will pretty much ding dang do. I'll just very quickly get a little bit of that pallid witch flash again. And just carefully just pick out his forehead there. That'll do, folks. Loben says it's why I like to post pics in the Discord channel. It seems more personal and it's great. I love seeing people's paint. Like, it doesn't matter whether it's a bit of work in progress. It doesn't matter whether it's like a bit of sort of scratch building that somebody's been trying to do. I just like seeing sort of people hobbying and enjoying themselves. I've always said, this is a hobby. It's meant to be fun. It's meant to be enjoyable. I just like seeing people kind of doing what they love. So, Tizzy Brain Drain says, nice job, man. Thank you very much, mate. It's pretty simple and straightforward, but it'll look effective when they're all painted up together. It's like when it's that big on your TV, you think like, oh, it might be a bit rough or something, but let's be honest, it's going to be more like, let me just take it off there. Like, if I do that, all of a sudden it looks a different mini, doesn't it? So, I'm happy with it. It's turned out all right. There you go. You get to see that bit. Right. I'll finish my beer. I might actually finish a drink tonight. Mark says I would change dentist if yours looks like that. Andy says Kath's been drinking. She buys hoodies, mate. She can drink all she wants. Tony says those cobbles are fab. Slop and mulch with multiple wash type paints gives a nice natural look. Tide marks and all. Yeah, that's kind of what I think, mate. It's just it's coming together. Where are we up to? Peter's looking cool, and Lawman says, yeah, McMourning does look great. I'm tempted again. I bet you are, mate. I bet you are. So, yeah. Lawman says, I want to go for the Avatar McMourning with the claw and the syringe. I don't know if I've seen that one, mate. That must have been a version 2 one. I don't think avatars are a thing in 3rd edition now, but obviously you can still use the models. Let me see if there's an image of it on the app. I wonder if that lets me see that version of it. We have a look for McMourning. So cards, McMourning. And of course he's under Dr. McMourning, isn't he? There he is. Got vintage. I wonder where that one's from. Let's have a quick. We go back to here. So this must have been a limited one, a female version. Dr. Dufresne's. I've not seen that one before. It's obviously got the same stats and stuff like that. This model counts as Dr. McMourning in every way. I wouldn't mind having a look out for that one. It must have been a limited edition or something like that. I have to see if I can pick one up from somewhere. So there's. Oh, that must be the one you're talking about. It looks like he's got a claw in his hand there. That must have been the one. I'll have to look out for those ones. But so that's the one we've just painted. You can see there the kind of pale face and stuff. And then this one must be the one that Lord Maiden is just talking about there. Then there's a Dr. Dufresne's, which is like a female one. And then there's the original vintage model, which is definitely a lot more kind of a bit more creepy. I like the vintage cards. I like it kind of got that like sepia tone about them as well. Yeah, McMourning 2, that's the one. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen that model, mate. I'll have to look out for it. I didn't even know that was a thing. So yeah, I'll have to look out for those, mate. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. Lawman's in the alternative 1st edition one. The avatars were all 1st edition. I don't remember avatars being 1st edition, mate. I honestly don't. I always thought they were 2nd edition, but maybe I'm wrong. Tony says it's been a joy as always, lovely people. Thank you for being so lovely. And Mark says, right, one more game of Marvel Champs and then off for bed. Really enjoying this game. I'm glad you're enjoying it, mate. Right, folks. I think we will call it there as well. I might as well kind of call it a night too. So, thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in tonight. Thank you for the donations tonight as well. Thank you for anybody that's kind of looked on the Teespring stores or on the stores with the hoodies and stuff and the hats. Thank you anybody that joined the William Jones joining the Patreon tonight as well. Thank you very much for that. Really do appreciate it. And I will see you all next Monday on the live stream. Hopefully we've got a little bit of Curse City to talk about. We might have heard something over the weekend, or maybe Monday morning we might get the date and the prices and stuff. That might be quite nice to do. If not, I'm sure we'll find something else to talk about. So yeah, I've got some video stuff to be cracking on with. I've got some stuff like I say I'm doing in the background, which is not video stuff, but it's to get ready for video stuff. So at some point when I'm in a position where I can kind of give you a bit of an update on that, I will do as well. But otherwise, I'll see you in the Facebook group. I'll see you in Discord if you're in the Patreon Discord. And if not, I'll see you next Monday on the Monday night live stream. So take care, folks, and I'll see you then. Thanks for watching my video. I hope that you really enjoyed it. And if you did, why not consider clicking on the suggested video below to see more of the work that I've done. If you'd like to support the long-term sustainability of this channel, why not consider checking out my Patreon, where you can pledge and support from as little as $2 a month, and there is lots of different tiers and bonuses which will give you access to a private Discord server. It will give you free t-shirts, free mugs, a podcast every month, and a number of other things, including getting your name at the end of every video, like these awesome folks who already support me now.